Yeah, hi. I'm going to show you a little bit about using KaiTrade with CQG, and in particular, the things like how do you know the CQG is connected, and how do you set up products that you can trade in CQG. So the first step is to start KaiTrade as usual from the Start menu, and then sign in. You'll be given a sign-in ID, but I'm going to borrow the one I gave to Mike Glister. When you sign in, what actually happens is KaiTrade goes to our server to find out which connections you're permissioned for and what particular plugins that you're enabled to use. So as you're a CQG user, you will be permissioned for CQG, and depending on your subscription, you may or may not get other user interface forms appearing. So first things first, how do we know we're correctly connected to CQG? Well, that's easy. We find an icon on here called the driver viewer. If we click on this and do a refresh by hitting the curly arrow, we can expand this. And in here you'll notice when I expand the CQG element, there's the data connection, the gateway connection, and the third connection for historics. These all being up is what you should normally see. So you should see the three connections, and they should all be in the up status. Having done that, our next question would be, well, okay, how could we trade? How could we see that we're able to trade? And to do that, first you'd have to set up some products to trade with. That's easy. You can click on the binocular icon, which is our product viewer. At the moment, we have products set up for the simulator. That's an internal tool that runs within KaiTrade itself, but won't let you trade on CQG. So to add a product on CQG, you can click on the quick add, and from the quick add you could add the product name. So you could say, I'm going to call this product internally to KaiTrade EP. In this case, we're using the same name as CQG itself would use. We can select the generic, and what that means is that the system will go to the CQG API and ask for the details for a symbol called EP. We obviously have to set the venue to the CQG venue. You'll notice there are several, but you should set that to the CQG venue. And if you do this, you can set that to FXXX for futures and click on Add. This will cause the system to go to the CQG API and get all the details for the S&P E-mini. If you do a refresh now, you'll see CQG appears, and we have EP now under the list. Notice also that it's filled in the relevant details from the CQG API. And as an example, from the product viewer, I could do a very simple trade. So I could put a market order in, for example, for that product. Noticing I'm on the demo account, doing a buy, we'll then trade that through CQG. And as you can see, we just filled. Now you don't need to do this every time. All you really need to do is, once you've set up the symbols you're interested in trading, is click on the Save button to save your set of symbols. And if I save this as, say, JU test CQG.xml on my desktop, then I have a file of products that I can then reload at will to save me typing that in every time. You can load sets of products using the load on the product viewer, but it's more convenient to tell KaiTrade to always pick up that set of products. And to do this, we come back to the KaiTrade toolbar, and we can then use the options, user options viewer. And if we open that and expand this slightly, you'll notice there's a product tag. If we click on the product tab, we can set the default product file, which will be loaded every time KaiTrade loads. So I can navigate back to our desktop and pick up the file I just saved. So in our case, we had a file called JU test CQG. If I open that, that will then store into our settings. If I save my settings from there using the save icon, that's set up as a general file that we always load. So next time we loaded KaiTrade, that product would be set up. So let's just check that everything's working as expected. So I'm going to close KaiTrade, and then we'll reopen it and just make sure that we're able to see those products. So if we start up KaiTrade again, this time we're going to see the products are automatically brought in. As we saw before, it will go through its usual sign-on procedure, make any connections that it has to do. But if we go ahead and look in the product viewer now, you can see we have CQG automatically appearing, and the previously saved product appears. And as we did before, as an example, we could go ahead and just say trade a market order with a product that's already set up. So that really can save you a lot of time. Once you've set up the products, you can put them in a file and save them, and then automatically reload them using the load and save from the product viewer itself, and also by using the user options viewer to set up a path which is to the default product file that you wish to use. And that way KaiTrade gives you a lot of configuration options. Finally, it's worthwhile looking at the other way of setting up a product. So we've set up some products in the product viewer itself, and what we were doing was we were using the product viewer's quick add function for doing this. And in many ways this is the better way of doing it, because you can mark a product generic and then just use the standard, for example, small identifier like EP for the E-mini. If you do this, when you reload a file, and remember we were doing this by setting it up as a default file, the fact you've marked it generic means it would always get you the latest contract for that particular symbol. But you can quickly add a product also using the CQG driver window itself. So for example, if I added E and Q, I can subscribe to that product, and what will happen is this will go off to the CQG API and get the details for us. So now when we do a refresh, we find we've got E and Q. Notice also that when we do this, it picks up all of the different contract months. So that's slightly different. The only thing that you should be aware of is that it does not mark these products as generic when it does it. So therefore, if you were to reload the product file with these in, they wouldn't roll forward automatically. So there's two ways that you can do that. And of course, you could save the product file just the same, and then when you reload it, you're going to get these in. So there are two ways you can add products to CQG. You can either drop the simple identifier into the driver window, and we try and identify the product for you and add it in, or you can use the quick add function. And the benefit of using quick add is that you can give it your own specific name, but also you can use the generic functionality, so therefore when it reloads it always goes and gets the latest contract for that particular thing. So for EP it would get the correct month. So I hope that helps. Thanks. Bye.